Hey guys, I'm Ryan Wright.
Hey guys, I'm Andrew.
Andrew, now with a YouTube channel, Movie Source, check it out. Talks about movies, obviously. Today we're going to talk about Empire Strikes Back. Or is it The Empire?
The Empire Strikes Back.
The Empire Strikes Back. This film, whoa, we just talked about A New Hope, or Star Wars, whatever you want to call it. And that film, incredible. This film tops it. One of those rare sequels where you're like, not only did they get a budget, but they used their budget to an advantage to give it just some basic stuff right up front, a more solid cinematography, better makeup and costumes. They were able to get like better choreography for the lightsaber fight. Just everything about it was there on a technical level better. Now, budget and production does not necessarily equate to a better movie. Hobbit. Prequels of Star Wars. The film does a better job storytelling too. Wow. that is one of the most anticipated sequels of all time, and wow.
Yeah, and growing up as a kid when I first saw this film, I thought it was good for sure, but it was definitely the least favorite of mine of the trilogy. After rewatching it several times, it's not even close. Not only is it the best Star Wars film ever, it's one of the best movies ever made. It's definitely in my top 10. What I loved also about this film, just on top of everything you said, they took us to so many places that we never thought we were gonna go. Not only did it go darker and deeper, but we learned more about the Force, we learned more about Luke, we learned more about all the characters that we love, we learned more about what motivates them into going to the next, whatever, just again, more character arcs. This movie is just amazing, it's phenomenal. I can't wait to get into it.
The first one teases the Jedi world. You know, like you get Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's about as far as it goes.
And the Force.
And you get the Force. So it's more about the Force than it is about the Jedis.
Right.
This one, you really get a sense of the Jedi world and what used to be there, you know? Yoda. Fucking love this guy.
Frank Oz, amazing.
Dude, when I watch Yoda, it's weird because I'm like, he has a creepy look up front, but I want to own one, you know? It's like, I want a little Yoda one.
Yeah.
I like his introduction of this guy who's just on this forsaken planet.
No, he's a Jedi Master, and he's on the planet Dagobah.
Dagobah, yeah.
So, and that is just when he's landing on that planet, the visuals we see of all the branches and trees and landing in that swamp. I mean, that place is disgusting.
It's nasty. It's a nasty world, and this is where like the Master Jedi is fucking chilling.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you too, that whole thing could have really not worked. That puppet, I mean, how they made it work, how they made it talk and interact with Luke, it really could have fallen apart very easily if you really think about it. It's not, they didn't have CGI back in those days. It's a puppet. The guys who did the puppeteering, and again, Frank Oz, the voice, brilliant, masterful job. Like, you truly, really feel this guy is a Jedi Master.
And you feel
it doesn't matter.
real.
It doesn't matter his size. Like, you just in each scene that we delve deep, when he's using his mind, using the Force, you really feel that this is really one of the greatest Jedi warriors of all time.
It's cool because the Jedis are like samurais. Yoda kind of reminds me of like a kung fu teacher, actually. I know it's not the same. Like a kung fu teacher, one who has like a sense of humor, kind of makes fun of the student.
Yeah.
But he's really always trying to teach him something, even when he's clowning on him.
Yeah.
He's trying to get an emotion out of him to teach him something about how he responds. That scene when Luke is like, the ship's too fucking big. Can't fucking do it. Fuck you, Yoda. And then Yoda's like, stupid. And then he just levitates that ship out of the water.
And then the line that ends, he's like, I don't believe in you. And he goes, that is why you fail.
Exactly.
Perfect line.
Such classic philosophical dialogue.
Oh, I know. The dialogue is so much better in this movie. And I know they added Lawrence Kasdan to do the screenwriting with George Lucas. You can clearly tell it ups the game in the dialogue department.
They added someone, because George Lucas did this story and outlined it, but there was Lawrence Kasdan and someone else.
But the director of this film was Irvin Kershner. He did RoboCop 2. That's the only other film I know he did. Good, yeah, right? This is a good sequel he did, not RoboCop 2. So, but no, it was a different director. George still did the story, I believe, like you said, and then they had Lawrence Kasdan, who is writing Episode 7, and he's also writing Episode 8 and the Han Solo anthology film.
Yeah, Leigh Brackett also co-wrote this script, and she died about a year before George Lucas finished outlining it, but she was the one who came up with the twist, actually. Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father, and at first, George Lucas didn't like it. She passed away, and George Lucas decided to go with it, and damn, does that just changes the whole thing in a brilliant way, and yet you're like, it makes sense. It makes sense, you know?
Absolutely. It's definitely a twist you never see coming, and that reveal, like you said, it makes sense. And also, on top of that, Fun fact, they didn't tell any of the actors about that because they didn't want them spoiling anything, or, you know, they told James Earl Jones the day of filming, and they also told Mark Hamill, both of them could not, but like they didn't know if they were, if the screenwriter and director were lying to them. They had to like confirm that with them. So that's a little fun fact. They had no idea either.
Brilliant.
They found out the day of they were filming it. So I think that's smart, because you can see in Mark Hamill's reaction, he did not know about that for days.
Mark Hamill's that's what I mean. Even the acting improved this time around. Everyone brought it down a little bit. They weren't as over the top. Mark Hamill especially impressed me. Much more sincere, much more subtle, more toned down. He's not like over the top personality in this one.
He's also more wise.
He's more wise, and it's a really cool journey of a Jedi Knight, you know, like a man who doesn't realize he's a Jedi Knight. He has a bigger purpose in life. He thought it was just to join the rebellion and become a pilot. Now he's like, wait, there's more for me, you know? So that moment when Luke freaks out over finding out that denial he goes into, that like just can't be real, powerful.
Oh my goodness.
Powerful.
That could have been so cheesy and over the top, and he just delivered it perfectly. Absolutely.
It's the villain, the enemy, and it's such a powerful moment, dude. And the way he reacts, you can feel it. And I could only imagine how everyone in the theater was like, oh my god, you know?
No, I really wish I could have seen that back in the day in theaters. One last thing about Darth Vader, every scene in this film where they're showing him when someone fails him and he starts choking and killing, I mean, it just shows how powerful and evil of a villain he is.
And how desperate he is to get Luke Skywalker. Like, you fuck this up, you're in the way of me completing my mission.
And you can tell too, like, I mean, near the end too, when the Millennium Falcon escapes and you see Admiral Piet's face, when Darth Vader turns around, you can tell he's like, uh-oh, I'm gonna get force choked. But, you know, Darth Vader didn't, because in my opinion, he was too angry over the situation. He just said, fuck it, whatever. Okay, first off with Vader, they even improved his suit. I noticed it wasn't as thick, you know, it was more slim fitting for the guy. Vader, you get more of his personality in this film. You do. He's more than just, like, you see that he's becoming obsessed. You see that he even has someone above him. The Emperor, you know? You don't see the Emperor in the first one. No, we don't see the Emperor at all. We just hear mention only Grand Moff Tarkin just taught when they go to a table scene in A New Hope where they talk about the Senate dissolving or something. That's where he starts choking the guy. Yeah, exactly. And they just say that they just made contact with the Emperor and he dissolved the Senate or something like that. But still, like, that's just one little brief moment. It was awesome. And you're led under the impression that Darth Vader's the leader of all this. When you see that, oh, Darth Vader's answering to someone. It was an interesting exchange of dialogue. Knowing the twist and then watching the film, it was an interesting exchange of dialogue saying he is the son of Anakin Skywalker. And how Darth Vader has just totally separated himself from who Anakin Skywalker is that he can't even remember at first. And now to see him answering someone, it's like, wow, okay, interesting. And it's just a great scene. That 2-minute moment right there just tells you everything you need to know about who Darth Vader answers to and why he does what he does. And the teases too, like that one shot you get of just the back of Darth Vader's bald head with the scar, man. And you can tell it's like he's too bald, like something happened to him, you know? You could tell there was an accident that happened, but they don't like go into detail about what happened. Showing stuff off in visual as opposed to having to go the exposition around and explaining every single thing. Just showing us that image of the back of his head, you could tell something bad happened to this guy. An element it adds, it's intense. It's an intense movie, dude. Like, it is a non-stop adventure, this one. All the battles, the Battle of Hoth, the Cloud City, the asteroid field. I mean, there's some amazing scenes. It goes from the Battle of Hoth, and then it goes into the Millennium Falcon chase, which turns into the asteroid field. Love that scene. And then there's Luke's adventure that's going on, and then he's learning from Yoda on how to be a Jedi. What's fun is they keep, like, the other characters more of a fun plot. You know, like, it's not as serious and heavy because the dynamics of them are all kind of fun. Like, they infuse the romance with Han and Leia, which works. Totally works. It's not forced. It's not shoved down our throat. You can see that relationship really develop. She cannot stand him at first, but deep down, she really has a love for him. Yeah. And I mean, you see it build up. It's not forced and told to us. It is. We see it happen, and we believe it. You really believe that they're in love. That moment where he gets frozen, that classic dialogue exchange, I love you. I know. Fun fact, the line was, I love you, and Han Solo's line was, I love you too. Harrison Ford told the director and the screenwriter on set that day, Han Solo would never say, I love you too. So he improvised the line, I know. Harrison Ford, you're the man.
Yeah. Oh God, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Whoa, nailed it too.
On set, improvised it.
What's so unique about this film, so unique, and the only other sequel that I've seen that's done it recently is The Dark Knight.
I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah,
was
I agree.
They end on a note where you're like, we need a sequel, but that's what makes it unique. It's not like we need a sequel because they didn't finish telling the fucking story in this one and they're clearly dragging this out. They told a complete chapter, a complete story that makes you go,
I want more.
I want more.
Yeah,
and we need more. We need to see what happens next, you know?
That's the one thing I'm happy about that I didn't have to endure in the theaters. No, I have to wait 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, when I got to see it, it's, oh, I'll just pop in the next DVD. Perfect. Or actually, I saw them in theaters, so I only had to wait like a month when they did the re-release in 1997. So that was the first time I had my experience in theaters with these films, and just so blown away. It was amazing.
It goes back to like, okay, like the original trilogy of Lord of the Rings. Each film, yes, there's more to the story after the end of like the first two, but each one still feels like a complete movie, as opposed to the prequels, which are like, this is one dragged out film.
And The Hobbit too. I mean, like you were, sorry, the prequels to Lord of the Rings and the prequels to Star Wars, it's really the same thing. You know, you got epic, amazing told stories in the first of Lord of the Rings trilogy and Star Wars trilogy, and then an over-reliance on CGI and budget in The Hobbit and the prequels. And we're not here to bag on those films, but you can just completely tell the differences in trilogies, you know, from with the originals to the prequels. The last thing I would say is the fight between Vader and Luke is...
To this day, it's not the most insanely choreographed thing.
Yeah, no.
Because we've topped it, but for that time, great.
Yeah, look, the Star Wars prequel fights... they're better, but I would say this, the fights in the original trilogy, they're more emotionally impacting. We care for these characters.
True.
In the prequels, I don't care about Anakin. I somewhat care about Obi-Wan, I guess, because Ewan did a good job, but I don't care about Darth Maul. He's a cool character, but it's meaningless fight. It's, oh, they're fighting some random guy who I've seen in 3 scenes. Cool.
Yeah.
In this movie, like, oh man, this is
there was an emotional impact
you care for these characters.
You were seeing our hero and our villain go toe-to-toe, face-to-face. They didn't do that in the first one. You know, like, yeah, there was a little fight they were having in the ships, but now we're seeing, like, Vader has been hunting Luke, and Luke has been preparing to take down Vader, and here's their moment.
And I love at the beginning of the fight, Vader's just taunting him. He could take him down in 2 seconds if he really wants to. He's just talking and taunting him. It's just such a great...
You just choke him out if you wanted to, you know?
Yeah, so, and then you see that whole part where Luke jumps out of the carbonite, grabs the lightsaber by the fork. Just such a powerful scene. And I love how they change from, even though they're still in the same location, from room to room, they change the scene. It's not like, oh, there's a blue screen and a bunch of stuff behind them.
It's tension-filled fight. It's not about the choreography. It's more, like the choreography actually, it's about it because there's storytelling in the choreography.
Absolutely.
Like, Darth Vader's not saying a bunch of dialogue taunting Luke. Like, he's taunting him, and then you see he's like kind of letting Luke have a few hits. Yeah. And then when Luke starts getting a few hits, Darth Vader's like, oh, I need to amp my game up a little bit, you know? Absolutely. And then eventually he's like, fuck this guy, I'm gonna start using the Force on him. Then he starts thrashing Luke with a bunch of objects.
Great point.
And then he just cuts off his arm.
Amazing movie. What do you want to rate it?
I want to rate it 5 hand solo jobs.
What he said.
Yes.
But no, in seriousness, no. This movie, if there was a score, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, whatever. This movie is flawless. It's epic. There's honestly not very many things I can think of that bother me about it. Honestly, there's really not many at all.
I can't think of anything.
I'd say maybe Lando wearing Han's clothes at the end was weird. Other than that, there's nothing that really bothers me. Billy D. Williams, Harvey Dent in Batman, man.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, guys, listen, thanks for tuning into the channel. If you're new to it, click this button today, subscribe, become a reject. Andrew now has a channel, there's a lot of movie talks on there. Check it out, Movie Source, link in the description box, go there now. Follow us on our social networks, Andrew mainly tweets, Instagram. Some people don't realize I shoot videos in advance.
Oh, that's how you do that, huh?
Some people think like, any video I shoot, I must put it up that day. You know?
Of course. None of us have
videos I shoot sometimes.
None of us have lives. We do this every single day, man.